Leftist journalist massacre of country music fans is a blood sacrifice to the Constitution. Paddock came well prepared to exercise his Second Amendment freedoms on a penned-in crowd. The left is using the Las Vegas massacre to wage all-out war against the NRA. The National Rifle Association became a convenient scapegoat. CBS executive fired after making insensitive remarks about Las Vegas shooting victims. CBS legal executive Haley Guffman Gold fired. Says, I'm actually not even sympathetic. Country music fans often are Republican gun toters.
Questions continue to be mounted against the area, the motivation, and even the sheer possibility that a lone gunman, as it is being reported, was able to injure over 500 people and kill over 60 from an overwatching vantage point against concertgoers in Las Vegas, a tragedy that raises more questions than those that are answered, including why standing authorities at the site were yelling for people to remain on the ground in between the reloading or jamming time slots of the gunfire, a prime time to move to a safer location when gunfire was not raining down upon the victims.
Right after 50 killed in mass shooting, famous atheist makes disgusting jokes. In the wake of the deadliest mass shooting in all of U.S. history, hundreds of victims and their family members are struggling to cope with the overwhelming grief. Apparently one famous atheist doesn't care, however, because he used it as an opportunity to take a stab at the Second Amendment. Late Sunday night, bullets rained down on the Mandalay Bay Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada. The gunfire was specifically aimed at a country concert, which was attended by tens of thousands of people, and unfortunately, the shooter killed 50 people so far, and injured another 200 plus more. The shooter, identified as Stephen Paddock, managed to smuggle in a series of high-powered rifles and assault weapons into his hotel room, and then effectively sniped through the window down at the crowd. Police quickly found him, blew open his door with explosives, and raided his room, but he shot himself before they could arrest him. Hundreds of victims have been taken to the hospital, and Las Vegas police have urged citizens to stay away from the south end of the Strip. Las Vegas Boulevard is currently shut down at Tropicana, southbound past Trestle Road at this time, giving law enforcement enough space to secure the area and treat the wounded. Most Americans have expressed their grief over the tragic situation, but Richard Dawkins, a famous atheist, biologist, and author, tweeted out something that many have found absolutely appalling. "Darn tootin' great shoot," he says. "Cool dude, certain he's Second Amendment rats. Hell yeah." Like most liberals, he went on to attack the Second Amendment right after a mass shooting, not understanding that it isn't guns that kill people. It's people that kill people. Dawkins is known for his extremely anti-Christian views, and he has written numerous books slamming the religion. In one book, The God Delusion, he claims that Christianity is at fault for most of the world's problems. The God of the Old Testament, he says, is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction. Here are some of this author's quotes regarding Christianity. "The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction, jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capriciously malevolent bully. Let children learn about different faiths, let them notice their incompatibility, and let them draw their own conclusions about the consequences of that incompatibility. As for whether they are valid, let them make up their own minds when they are old enough to do so." Do you really mean to tell me the only reason you try to be good is to gain God's approval and reward, or to avoid his disapproval and punishment? That's not morality, that's just sucking up, apple polishing, looking over your shoulder at the great surveillance camera in the sky.
Should Canada help in North Korean standoff? Last missile test brings political question into stark relief as MPs call for emergency debate. The Sunday morning tremors, measuring a magnitude of 6.3, signaled a major escalation in North Korea's nuclear program. Pyongyang claims to have tested its first hydrogen bomb, one that could be placed on the head of an intercontinental ballistic missile. Though the size and scope of what happened still has to be verified at time of this writing, U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed the event in a series of tweets. North Korea has conducted a major nuclear test, he wrote. Their words and actions continue to be very hostile and dangerous to the United States. And that means, very dangerous for Canada as well. The tremors from the blast immediately moved the debate about ballistic missile defense, BMD, to the front burner of the political stove in Canada. North Korea's state media claimed, in its usual brutal syntax, that their sixth nuclear test means they have reached their goal of completion of national nuclear power. If a North Korean nuclear-tipped ballistic missile is actually capable of targeting the U.S., it could theoretically hit Canada. If the math on the trajectory path is off, what is meant for, say, Seattle could hit Vancouver. That's sobering. Days before this latest test, a senior source in the Prime Minister's office told me the debate about BMD is unavoidable and likely necessary. The political challenge for the Liberals is that they believe Canadians don't want to do a big military deal with the unpopular Trump. Canada doesn't want to be too closely tied to his foreign policy. This is the client state position that Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland warned about in her now famous speech about the U.S. abdicating its global leadership. That speech suddenly looks dated. The U.S. has since doubled down on its war in Afghanistan.
July 21st, 2014, Billboard article, Tom Petty. Says he's fine with whatever religion you want to have, but you can't tell anybody it's okay to kill people. Okay with the government sentencing people to death for the wrong reasons half the time, but doesn't like what God wants to do for righteousness, the Old Testament. It says here, religion seems to me be at the base of all wars, continues Petty, who's raised unconvinced among Southern Baptists. I have nothing against defending yourself, but I don't think spiritually speaking there's any conception of God that should be telling you to be violent. It seems to me that no one's got Christ more wrong than the Christians. Detroit, CBSLocal.com. Oakland County woman ordered to jail after refusing to vaccinate her son. Sentenced 7 days in jail, refusing to comply with an order to vaccinate her 9-year-old son. Judge Karen McDonald. Rebecca Breedow of Ferndale, together with her attorney, signed an order November 16, 2016, agreeing that the child would be vaccinated. McDonald said there was never an appeal of that order, that Breedow never asked to have the order set aside. You see their protests here, no forced shots. I stand with Rebecca, no forced vaccines, amen. Need to do more of that at your local Walgreens, CVS, at your schools too. Forcing it down her throat like Australia. Protests outside Oakland Circuit Court. Will a mom go to jail for failing to vaccinate her kid? Well, it looks like it. Stems from an earlier custody hearing. The boy's father said he wanted the vaccinations for the child. Breedow told that she objected to grouping the shots together. Husband Breedow disagrees with the judge's decision. I think it's horrific. To me, it's a worst-case scenario for a mother who has done and followed all the state exemption laws, never had her voice truly heard in this court. I think it's absolutely horrible. Michigan is one of the 17 states, only 17 states, that allow for medical, religious, and philosophical exemptions from vaccines. And most people in those 17 states don't even know that they're one of them. They hide that information. Rebecca Breedow has said she believes McDonald was motivated by her own pro-vaccine beliefs, and her husband says they will appeal. It's ridiculous. Come on, Trump, mention the vaccines. What about the pharmaceutical companies? Make America vaccine-free again.